ديب يعتبر من أشهر وأنجح النجوم الأمريكيين. هو من مواليد كنتاكي في عام 1963، والأفلام أو سلسلة الأفلام التي ألقت عليه الضوء وحققت له الشهرة والنجاح كانت سلسلة أفلام Pirates of the Caribbean، والتي تم إنتاج 4 أجزاء منها. بدايته كانت من خلال الموسيقى والعزف على الجيتار في إحدى الفرق الموسيقية، ثم انتقل إلى التمثيل في التلفزيون في عام 87 من خلال مسلسل تلفزيوني بعنوان جامب ستريت، ولكن البطولة المطلقة جاءته في عام 1990 من خلال فيلم بعنوان إدوارد سيزرهاندز، ومن الأفلام التي قدمها بعد ذلك فيلم بعنوان شوكليت و Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Time now to have a closer look at this megastar. John Christopher Depp II is born June the 9th, 1963 in Owensboro, Kentucky. He grows up in Florida as the youngest in a family of 4 children. At a young age, Depp develops a deep passion for music, and he quits school to go on tour with his band when he's 16. The band splits up, and through his first wife, Depp enters the world of film and television. His film debut is a role in Nightmare on Elm Street, in which he plays one of the many victims that are creatively slaughtered by the infamous Freddy Krueger. 2 years later, he plays a supporting role in the film Platoon, directed by Oliver Stone. Although he lacks acting experience, he knows exactly how to approach his character.
I can remember working on films like Platoon, which is before the TV series even, where I'd rewritten Oliver Stone's dialogue. And he got a little peeved about it, but, I was playing the character, it wasn't him, So I've always kind of had a pretty strong opinion of the character in the film. I'm pretty honest about it, right up front.
His big break comes when he accepts a part in the television series 21 Jump Street. As Tommy Hansen, Depp becomes a major teenage idol. Unfortunately, this is not exactly something Depp wished for.
I don't regret any of it. What I didn't understand when I started that thing was that sometimes that situation becomes a real assembly line thing, and they market you as this product, and they sell you as something that you're not.
Soon his fortunes change. Depp plays his first lead in the film Crybaby by John Waters, attempting to shed his unwanted idol image.
It gave me a chance to make fun of labels and created images that people sort of put on me, and whether it's teen idol or it's young rebel or bad boy or whatever, which is a lot of young actors have to deal with. It was important to make fun of it, of being labeled,
In 1990, Depp plays the lead in Edward Scissorhands, working for the first time with director Tim Burton. A special bond forms between the actor and the director. The somewhat bizarre mindset of Burton ties in perfectly with his. Over the years, Depp stars in the Tim Burton films Ed Wood, Sleepy Hollow, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the animation film Corpse Bride, in which Depp gives voice to a man who accidentally marries a corpse.
And there's a strong foundation beneath you, and there's a strong element of trust because of the things you've been through together and learned together. Yeah, it's always, it's great to get in there, like, for instance, with Tim, Burton or Terry Gilliam, these guys who, it's almost like speaking another language, There are times on the set, Tim and I working together where crew members would come up to me after witnessing a conversation between Tim and I saying, I didn't understand a word you guys were saying, I didn't get a thing, and it's just because that dialogue we had.
Films like Pirates of the Caribbean and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory sees to it that audiences all over the world of all generations know who Johnny Depp is. But above all, this is the first time that his films become major box office successes. Instead of just being the acclaimed actor with an interesting choice of roles, now he is a commercial success too.
You can never predict, what's going to happen with those things, It's always nice when a film is seen by people and appreciated by people. But I never expected the reaction to Pirates. I was really shocked and pleased and grateful.
Still, Depp is not comfortable in the role of movie star. He remains an actor who loves a new challenge. Depp stars as a 17th century poet in the film The Libertine, a man infamous for his use of alcohol, drugs and women. In 2007, he completes the Pirates trilogy as the immensely popular Captain Jack Sparrow.
It's actually difficult not to play that. I mean, it's weird because the more I try to be who I am, the more difficult it gets because you're really not allowed to be that. Then nobody allows you to be a normal guy, or what, I mean, they don't allow you to be yourself. When you try to be yourself, you're accused of being difficult or all those things, a rebel or this or that. I mean, I think playing the game of celebrity is probably a pretty easy one, but it's not one that I choose to play. So I mean, it's harder for me, I guess.
After the tremendous success of the Pirates films, he takes the lead in the bloodthirsty musical Sweeney Todd, directed by his good friend Tim Burton. In Johnny Depp's latest film, Public Enemies, Depp steps into the shoes of the infamous criminal John Dillinger, where he robs banks and escapes from prison. This makes him public enemy #1 in America. Till this day, Depp's choices remain unpredictable, and that's what makes him so appealing.
تاني نجوم معانا النهارده هو المخرج التايواني أنج لي. أنج لي من مواليد أكتوبر في عام 1954، وهو يعتبر من أشهر وأنجح المخرجين على مستوى العالم. أنج لي هو أول مخرج آسيوي يحصل على جائزة أوسكار أحسن إخراج وأحسن فيلم في عام 2005 عن فيلم بعنوان بروك باك ماونتن، وهذا الفيلم حصل أيضا على جائزة أحسن إخراج في الجولدن جلوب. أنج لي بدايته مع السينما الأمريكية بتعود إلى عام 1992، وقدم في السينما الأمريكية والعالمية. أخرج 13 فيلم وأنتج 10 أفلام وكتب 5 أفلام، ومن الأفلام التي قدمها فيلم هالك وسنس أند سنسبيليتي. ومن الأفلام المنتظر أن نراها في دور العرض السينمائية قريبا فيلم بعنوان The Life of Pi.
He's born on the 23rd of October 1954 in Pingtung, Taiwan. After his university, he decides to leave for New York in 1979, where he starts a course at the Film Academy along with Spike Lee. His first films are from a point of view of a Taiwanese immigrant in the US. He uses his experiences from the past to recreate these movies. In 1995, he's nominated for the Best Foreign Movie Oscar for Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. Lee is finally noticed that he prefers a balance between commercial and art house films.
I think I like to make art films that is very profitable. That's like my dream.
Lee's debut in America comes in 1995 with the romantic book adaptation of Jane Austen's novel Sense and Sensibility. 2 years later, he turns another book into a movie, The Ice Storm. Lee becomes more skilled and develops into a director who knows exactly how to deal with actors.
I think it's very important to provide atmosphere, good vibe for actors to work on. And you put the camera where they know you're interested in portraying them. And then you tell them to do no acting, to reduce it.
Soon we find out that Lee is also brilliant in making martial arts movies. He proves this with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This film is nominated for 10 Oscars, and one of them is for Best Director. Ang Lee is offered to direct Terminator 3 and feels flattered, but eventually chooses for the comic book hero, the Hulk.
The idea of Terminator 3 did intrigue me, especially after Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I had this hunch of hitting on to pop culture and taking an American way, except that Terminator 3 has a traditional baggage. They have two brilliant prequels that have to follow certain rules, while Hulk itself was never been done on screen before.
In 2005, Lee puts Brokeback Mountain on the silver screen. Everything Brokeback Mountain is widely acclaimed by the press and public. The movie wins 3 of its 8 Oscar nominations and is Lee's first Oscar. He also wins a Golden Globe. Lee's next movie, Lust Caution, also causes controversy.
Are really doing it, are they?
Did you see the movie?
Yes.
Okay. Why'd you ask?
It's very easy to seek out the differences between the Western and the Eastern approach to the characters. However, director Ang Lee doesn't think this could be an issue.
Of course, you have to learn different texture when you do an English movie. The culture is different, the behavior is a little different. But at heart, I think people are quite universal. And the way I look at them is very much the same. You have to show sympathy that eventually touched movie audience. And then you have to sharp angle that's for the brands. Right. They have to be funny.
Right. Lee works a lot outside Asia. Because of this, he stays quite a distance from his culture. However, it does give him a more objective perspective.
Actually, going to the States and making American movies and going back helped me understand that romanticized China that I grew up with, being told by my school and my parents, which is somewhat different from what I see today.
The differing cultures offers Lee a chance to be a step ahead in developing artistically as a director.
By freedom, I mean a less industrialized industry in China or Taiwanese or Hong Kong industry that I enjoy more freedom in terms of film language. That helped me to develop my cinematic sense when I go back to making American films. They really benefit each other. I feel very fortunate.
The Western crews do notice the difference between Lee and other directors.
Action!
Sometimes, maybe compared to English director, I use more fuller shots, stay away a little bit, make the movie carried actors. I have found those actors very much used to carry the movie, to perform. Me, watch me. Right. And sometimes my camera sort of shy away from them and they felt uncomfortable. But they're polite enough to let me get my ways.
Lee's rising star has brought a lot of stability for this genius director. He doesn't have to focus too much on the pre-production of a movie, but can let his creativity take the upper hand in movie making.
Especially after Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. Before that, I wrote those scripts myself, and then I didn't have to write it anymore. I can just snatch whatever the idea I like and make them. I tend to pick on something I don't quite know that excites me because it's different.
Lee often follows his heart with a storyline. Sometimes this turns into a movie filled with taboos. This was obviously the case in Brokeback Mountain, but even more with Lust Caution.
It was a very daring, it's exquisitely, cruelly written. So truthful, but it's so cruel. That's haunting. It's almost like a taboo. In a way that through female sexuality, point of view, the psychology, to see our most grand war against Japanese during occupation period. It was like that the way I grew up.
A section of Ang Lee's audience are women. This is probably due to the fact that he makes quite personal and emotional movies.
I think female audience are more sensitive. It's not those bang actions. That's who I am. I didn't mean to particularly make a movie for women. It just ended up that way.
Lee recently finished the film Taking Woodstock, the story about how the legendary music festival Woodstock found its location. Lee's agenda is filled with other movies for 2010, like A Little Game and the book adaptation Life of Pi.
I'm a slavery to my own desire to express myself through movies, and hopefully find a connection with you, with the audience.
على الريد كاربت النهارده كان معانا النجم الشهير جوني ديب والمخرج التايواني أنغ لي. انتظرونا في الأسبوع المقبل ونجوم أكتر على الريد كاربت.